First, let's get some terminology out of the way. It's pronounced Acadia, not Arcadia. There is no R. Also, Bahaba is how the locals pronounce it, and in fact, there's even some signs to that effect, as well as lobster. And it is pronounced Mount Desert, not Mount Desert, as the spelling would suggest. So the first question is, where should we stay in Bar Harbor? Well, there's at least 15 campsites that I'm aware of. However, on this map I show the campsites that have bus access to either Bar Harbor, the Welcome Center, or both. Mount Desert Narrows, Hadley's Point, and the Bar Harbor Campground have access to actually both hubs at the Welcome Center and at Bar Harbor, while the other campgrounds only have access to Bar Harbor, not the Visitor Center. And again, those were hubs for the bus transportation system to go anywhere else within the park. So the campground that you select is going to really be paramount on how you get around. And I would highly recommend having bus access. So I would think twice about staying at some of the other campgrounds here that are off the beaten path that do not have bus access. Because number one, to get to Bar Harbor, you can just about forget it for parking. I mean, it is so hard to find a parking spot there. Remember, there's 3.3 million people that visit this a year. And even then, we were mid-September, which was technically out of season, but the campgrounds are still pretty much full. There's still a lot of congestion down in Bar Harbor for parking. And I would just not stay at a campground that didn't have bus access. And here's our campsite at the Mount Desert Narrows campground. We stayed here for 5 days, and it was really only one of the semi-level sites at the whole place. And here's our bus, just as we've arrived at the Village Green Hub in Bar Harbor from our campground. And at the Village Green pickup point in Bar Harbor, they publish the shuttle schedule. And in reality, Bar Harbor is just a big tourist trap. The place has t-shirt shops, restaurants, and ice cream shops, but not a whole lot else. Also, 1 to 3 cruise ships can visit the town, so it really gets to be congested. The one day we're here, there's 3 cruise ships, and there's probably 2,000 to 3,000 extra people. This is the waterfront in Bar Harbor.
Oh, that's where you pick up Allie's trolley. Was that the ferry? That's what it says, that's Allie's trolley.
And there are actually 3 ways to get to Acadia. One is you can drive yourself, which unlike going to Bar Harbor is possible. Next is to take the free shuttle bus. And finally, you can take a guided tour such as Ollie's Trolley. And there's advantages and disadvantages to each method, and ideally a combination of doing one way one day and another way another day actually works out quite well, which is what we did. A good portion of the roads in Acadia are one-way, 2-lane, and 90% of those roads you can park on the right-hand side. There are a few places that are restricted, but for the most part, you can park anywhere along the path that you want. That allows you to take photos and see scenes that you couldn't see if you were on a bus, because the bus is not going to stop randomly along the roadside. Also, the buses do not go to every location, such as Cadillac Mountain. Now, the private contractors such as Ollie's Trolleys do, but otherwise you're going to have to drive yourself if you want to go to Cadillac Mountain. However, there are certain areas such as Sandy Beach and Jordan's Pond where it is so congested you can't find a parking spot. So if you have a second day, I highly recommend taking a shuttle bus to those locations. Sandy Beach. This is called the blowhole, but unfortunately we were here at low tide, so we didn't see the huge geyser that shoots out of the water. Well, unfortunately, this is just a short summary of our trip to Acadia and Bar Harbor, and I could have really added a whole lot more, but my camera just was having fits. So I decided to make this as something that would be of interest to people wanting to RV to those locations. So I've strived to provide information for RVers with this video more so than just a bunch of pretty pictures. Oh, how could I forget the lobster? You have to try it when you're in Bar Harbor area, and you can get it anywhere almost. There's plenty of restaurants downtown in Bar Harbor. There's restaurants along the way, but all the locals go up into Trenton to get their lobster. It's less expensive and it tastes just as good.